Not because we decided it should, but because we're getting into stillness. Again, it's about getting into stillness.
Yes.
It's about getting into that inner level of who we are, where we find that which we are devoted to, and that which we truly are in our essential nature.
Absolutely. Yeah. What is the difference between Ashtanga, 8 limbs of yoga, and Raja, the royal yoga?
Well, those are interpretations of the 8 limbs of yoga.
I see. Okay. And
I guess, I'm not sure, but I think the term Raja Yoga was coined either by Ramakrishna or possibly by the Kriya Yoga people, which was about a half a century before. But it basically was putting a brand on the 8 limbs of yoga and saying, well, this is Raja Yoga, which means the yoga for the royal ones. Royal yoga is what Raja Yoga means.
Yes.
Which sort of implies you have to be special to learn this.
Well, we're all special.
Ashtanga is another, Ashtanga means 8-limbed, and I believe that's another branding of the 8 limbs of yoga. It's not something that I'm aware came out of an ancient tradition as old as the Yoga Sutras, but it's something that came up along the way. There are a lot of different systems, many different names, which may or may not refer to 8 limbs, which are really basing themselves on the 8 limbs or claiming to be consistent with the 8 limbs. And AYP, Advanced Yoga Practices, which is the modern system that I'm involved with putting out there, is doing the same thing. So,
yes.
It's kind of like mathematics, You can build a system of mathematics and call it whatever you want, but it's still based on addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And that's really what the Yoga Sutras are. They are really a benchmark by which any system of spiritual practice can be measured.
Yes, excellent. What do we need to look at within nervous system specifically at this point?
Well, as I mentioned, as far as practices are concerned,
and our inherent capabilities.
Oh yeah. Well, the way the book is laid out is the first thing that I did. First we introduced the 8 limbs, like we've just been talking about, and then before getting into categories of practice and building the routine, we talked a bit about inherent spiritual capabilities, and then we listed out an inventory of practices that stimulate those inherent capabilities, and then we talked about how these things work together to stimulate the journey of purification and opening, and then we start structuring things after that. Now we can go through some of the inherent capabilities. There are quite a few of them. So I don't know if we'll have time to do them all in detail.
Yes.
But they kind of fall into a few key categories. Maybe we could cover the key categories rather than covering the 20 things that come under those categories.
Yes, sure.
The basic categories are, number one is attraction, which is desire. That has to come first before we're really going to be able to do much on a spiritual path, or maybe with anything in life, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You have to have a desire. In the spiritual arena, the attraction is really to a higher ideal. We can call it truth or we can call it God, but we have a desire to get closer to that, whatever that is for us. And the underlying energy in attraction is love. It's the energy that really is holding everything together in the universe. It's the force of attraction, and love is attraction. So love is really at the heart of all spiritual endeavors, whether we're calling it that or not. We may just call it, I really want this,
Yes.
But that's an energy that is attempting to create union, and yoga means union. So that's where it starts. The second area of natural capabilities is what we mentioned, purification and opening, which is a process that every nervous system is going to go through naturally, and this can be stimulated through practices. Okay. The next one is we also mentioned inner silence, which is pure bliss consciousness, which is our native state, and it shines through our nervous system as the purification and opening occur. Next is ecstasy, which is also experienced when our nervous system is stimulated with particular practices. And that's the awakening of our inner life force, which is also called Kundalini. Mm-hmm. And then finally, union, which is our transformation to a permanent state that radiates divine love and energy and compassion.
So we've gone in a full circle again.
Yeah. So those are sort of the basic areas where the fundamental principles are operating, and then within that we can get into a whole long list of how the mind has the ability to settle down when it's given an object, and that object is used in a way that transcends thinking. That object is a mantra, of course, which we discussed in a previous interview.
Yes.
And, and then there's the nervous system's natural ability to awaken ecstatically to a conductive state where ecstatic energy is conducted instantaneously throughout the nervous system. That's a natural ability.
When you say conducted, is this ecstatic energy able to go to anywhere in the body by directing it ourselves?
Yes, and a lot of the healing arts are based on that, putting your attention in a particular, and that's another one of the natural principles, where if you put your attention, energy tends to follow awareness, or attention is really the better word, because awareness is everywhere, but attention is somewhere. So energy tends to follow attention, as does inner silence. So, and this is really the principle behind spinal breathing, where you're tracing the spinal nerve with the breath and the attention, and creating an energy current within the spinal nerve, which awakens the spinal nerve, which is really at the heart of the awakening of ecstatic conductivity. So yes, where we put our attention does make a difference, and there are many applications of that in many different fields.
Yes.
Then another one that's important is a natural ability within us for the merging of inner silence and ecstatic conductivity, which is really what creates the enlightened state, which is really what gives wings to silence. The ability of energy to flow through us and beyond our body is what gives wings to our inner silence, and that's what creates the flow out into our environment from us, which is the overflowing of divine love, and which translates into compassion and service, which is really at the higher end of the enlightenment process, where the divine energy flows through us and we become a vehicle for service in the world.
Yes. Beautiful.
So were there any more of these natural abilities or capabilities that you'd like to ask about? Because I'm afraid if we start going through them all, we'll eat up all our time.
Well, I think one that was interesting to me was the ability to connect the third eye with the neurobiology at the base of the spine. And maybe you could go into that a little bit. That was quite intriguing.
Well, the third eye, as everybody knows, or most people know, is the point between the eyebrows and going back straight into the center of the brain.
Yes.
And then down through the medulla oblongata. We give it that broader definition in AYP because the dynamic of the third eye, or the ajna as it's called as a chakra, encompasses that whole area.